Hello. How are you? Good? Everybody good? Let's start, shall we?
Well, obviously, I think it's fair to say that we know you best for Baywatch.
Okay.
So, how did that part come about? And how do you feel about that?
Okay, that part came about pretty traditionally in terms of the way casting normally works, although I don't know if there's a normal anymore. So I auditioned for Baywatch probably 6 times. There's many different levels, you know, casting, producer, then the writer, you have the director, and then you have the studio that's backing the show, and then you have the network that's putting the show on. So you have to do the dog and pony 6 times for that show.
Did you enjoy it?
The dog and pony show, I have never enjoyed it, no. No, it's a totally different animal, auditioning and getting the job. And I would say probably 8 out of 10 actors on this planet, if you gave them the job, could hit it out of the park and do an amazing job. But auditioning, some of us are not great auditioners. You know, it's like anything. You're very nervous, you lose focus, you know, you feel like you're being judged. And so, 2 totally different processes, trying to get the job and actually having the job, you know, where your focus is. Yeah.
Any questions? Yes.
Hi. How was it to be the lady in distress in Under Siege?
The lady in distress. That was an amazing shoot. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about being diplomatic on that shoot too. There were a lot of things going on. It was 3 months in Mobile, Alabama, and I think between myself, my friend that I brought, 2 ladies in the wardrobe department, and a script supervisor, there were like 5 or 6 girls and about 1,500 men on that set. Because of all the cast and all of the extras and you know, the shipmates, and there were so many. So yeah, so it was an amazing experience working, especially with Tommy Lee Jones and Gary Busey. I learned a lot, and it was fascinating watching them work and watching their process. So it was a very full experience.
Do you have any fun memories about Chasers?
Oh gosh, Chasers was a crazy film to shoot, because that's what I would call a road picture. We shot that movie about 13 different locations, all over North and South Carolina. So we were constantly on the move. It was summertime, end of spring, beginning kind of summer, and it was very hot and very humid, and we did a lot of our filming in a van. And I remember it was really funny because Tom Berenger and William McNamara were supposed to be sweaty, you know, just covered, even the pit stains. I, on the other hand, was not allowed to sweat. They didn't want to see any sweat at all. So we're sitting inside a van and it's like 110 degrees with 110% humidity. And I had little fans that were like placed inside secret pockets of the van, and in between the shots would have to fan because there's not supposed to be any sweat. So we had a lot of interesting times on that movie. It was a lot of fun though. Really good people.
How was the work with Steven Seagal in Under Siege?
I think it depended on his mood. You know, he came to work, he did his thing, he had a very big entourage around him, often, most of the time. And sometimes, you know, he came to work and he just did his thing, and other times he was in more of a lighthearted, kind of joking mood. So, yeah.
That must not be easy.
Wasn't easy.
And were you starstruck at all with any of your co-stars?
A huge fan of Tommy Lee Jones. Huge fan. And Gary Busey and I had worked together, I feel like, maybe 3 or 4 films already, and he's a wild man. Wild man. And a heart of gold, a really good guy, but so full of energy. He will knock you over with his energy, and, you know, the first 5 seconds, you're like, oh, I'm so tired. Because he's just But Tommy Lee Jones, I've been a huge fan of his. I just think that he's a brilliant actor. So I tend to get very sponge-like when I work with people that I admire, in that I like to watch and observe and, you know, just take in as much of what their process is as I can and learn. So yeah, that was pretty awe-inspiring for me.
Do you think that being on Baywatch has opened any doors for you for future projects?
Well, I would say that the future is now past tense in terms of Baywatch. You know, when we did the show, actually, I started on the show when it was a 2-hour movie. Back in the day, I don't know if you guys, in the States, it was a really big thing to have the Sunday night movie of the week. So we had the 3 major networks, NBC, ABC, CBS, and they would always compete for the best Sunday night movie, the 2-hour special. And actually Baywatch started as one of those 2-hour movies. So we first filmed that, then we did NBC when it was very conservative. We did everything by the book, even the suits were regulation. Then when it went to syndication, that's when all hell broke loose. So, you know, it became a lot sexier and more risque. And I feel like when I left the show, it took a while. You know, Pamela came on. It just became this own, like, crazy, big, unstoppable thing. And it was at that point when it became popular that I had a lot of opportunities, mostly overseas. You know, a lot of independent films and foreign financial backers, let's say overseas, that really gave me a whole other world. Yeah, but in terms of the future, you know, I am so grateful for the fans of Baywatch. It's just one of those rare things. It's just one of those sort of phenomenons that, like, for whatever reason it did what it did, you know, it stayed in the hearts of a lot of people, and I'm so always grateful for that. And that's still, like, here I am. You know, it still provides opportunities of travel and meeting new people, so.
So what's in store for you now? What are you up to now?
Right now, I teach acting, and I teach 2 actors, but I also, for the last 3 years, up until just recently, up until May, have been teaching acting to kids in rehab, struggling with addiction and some behavioral issues. So teaching acting as a means of therapy, and really helping them to kind of come out of their shell and find their voice, find their empowerment. So that's been my heart, my passion. I'm a C student, and that's SEE, so it's a spiritual enrichment education. So I can teach metaphysics, that's my big passion. It has been since I was a really little girl, about 11 years old. So all things spiritual I love. All religions, theology, Eastern, Western, philosophy, I just love it all. I really have a voracious appetite for it. So, yeah, I'm just learning a lot right now and teaching, and I'm also writing a television show. So there's a whole 180. I'm in the middle of writing a treatment for a TV show that's also my heart. So a lot of different things going on.
Now that you mentioned that you had this massive crew with Under Siege,
Yeah.
how nerve-wracking was it to do the cake scene?
For me, extraordinarily nerve-wracking. And it's funny because, you know, I've had a few scenes in my life like this over the years. It's never been easy. And in fact, on that day, I was so nervous and tearful. It was a closed set. And one of the sweetest things, I remember getting yellow flowers from Tommy Lee Jones and Gary Busey because I was so nervous about doing that scene, which originally, by the way, was not scripted. What was scripted was a little 1940s outfit. We did a whole costume, 2 costume fittings for it, actually. Then some powers that be got involved. And I was too young to know that I had a voice, by the way. So it was what it was, but I was really uncomfortable. Yeah, those are not easy. Yeah, definitely not easy. Very awkward.
He mentioned of Baywatch that it opened some doors, but on the other hand, would it be closing some doors?
Good question, definitely. Baywatch was really interesting because I feel like it was so compartmentalized in that, you know, you have the film industry itself in Los Angeles, really, California, whatever, Hollywood, and the people who give you your jobs. And that's sort of one little world. Then you have the fans, you know, which are always accepting and loving, and you have the United States and then overseas. And this is because Baywatch became what it did. There were so many different sort of compartments. Domestically, when I did the show, it was difficult, it was challenging because a lot of people like to pigeonhole you. They like to say, oh, you did this, so you're that, you know. You're blonde, so you cannot, you know, function in society without someone helping you, and, you know, or, you know, all the different, well, come on, how many of those preconceived notions are there about people that we don't know? So I feel like there was definitely, in terms of the film industry, there was some snobbery, for sure, about that, about, oh, you know, we were doing a serious show, so the people from Baywatch cannot be a part of that. Yeah, it was challenging. But I feel like we all have that, and actors, and all to some extent, and men as well. You know, you can work on Star Trek or a sci-fi show as a character for years, and then the show's done, and you're an actor. So by nature, what is an actor? Diverse. I mean, that's the whole point, right? Is to be as many different things as you can, different characters, different roles. But people don't want to see you do that a lot of times. You are this, so therefore you cannot do this, you know? So yeah, there was definitely some of that. It's perseverance though, and that's the thing for all actors, no matter what is going on, you must persevere.
So I had a crush on you, you know it?
Say that again?
I had a crush on you.
Thank you.
Like many others here. Should we go out on a date? Which stupid questions I have to avoid.
Should we go out on a date? I'm very happy to say that I am date-free and loving it. I am single and I love, you know, I feel so full in my life. I'm definitely not dating. Happily. So, no.
Just for the record, I had a bigger crush on you than he did. Just putting that out there. No, sorry. No?
Thank you.
Let's change the subject.
Thank you.
So, but would you mind telling us a little bit more about the student thing?
Oh, yes, the program. Well, like I said, here's what I do. I consider myself a spiritual alchemist. That's the best way I can put it. I feel like I've been studying so many different things for so long that I'm my own mixed salad of beliefs, right? So I do, when I go to church and I teach Sunday school, it is a non-denominational church. So when we say all religions are welcome, we at this place that it's called Unity, and it's really all about universal love, absolute acceptance for everybody. And so we study all different kinds of everything. Like I can be studying right now, the class that I'm taking is getting to know Jesus, the man, and what he was really about. And it's mind-blowing for me, because, you know, he was a rebel. So I love, it's just interesting to me, but then I'll go take, you know, Hebrew scriptures, or I'll take a Christian Bible, or I'll take a metaphysics class, or I'll study the occult. Since I was really little, I wanted to be a parapsychologist. So you can give me witchcraft, you can give me Buddhism, you can give me, I love it all. Here's what I love about it. Whether you're Muslim, or Catholic, devout, or atheist, or agnostic, there's a golden thread that runs through all of it. That's it. As people, we all want the same thing. We all want the same thing. What do we want? We want peace. We want health for our families. We want love and acceptance. We want food and shelter and to make a living. It's all the same. So what I like to do is to find the languages that appeal to all people, so that there's no closed doors. You say the word Jesus and people will hide under a table. Like, ah, you know, or the Bible, you know, or witchcraft, right? Ah, devil worshiper, you know. It's all malarkey. I like to find the universal language in all of it and then teach it. And even in my acting with my little students, you know, I feel like if we could teach children how powerful they are, I mean, how much power they have in choice, that in every single day, every minute that we have as human beings on this planet, we have the power of choice. That choice sets up your next 5 minutes. And after that, we really have a lot of power. And I feel like if more of us grew up knowing that, how much more self-confident we would be in ourselves. Because I grew up scared. I was a scared kid. I was so insecure. I let fear rule my life and dictate so many of my decisions. I sat on the bench. I didn't go out on the dance floor. I missed a lot of life. Because I was so deeply afraid and insecure. So for me, I kind of find the connection between spirit, that we're just not alone, that's my humble belief, and how to help empower kids, especially struggling children, you know. So that's what C is about for me. That's why I'm doing it. It's literally like a program, like depending on how fast you do it, because you can do it, you know, self-study or on campus. You need a certain amount of credits, you have to go to Unity Village, and then you can get a license, and I would like to teach metaphysics, so.
But seeing how passionate you are about this, which is wonderful to see, I wonder, you say you were upset, no, well, not obsessed, but fascinated by the occult at the age of 7.
11, yeah.
How did you come into acting then? What made you make that choice?
Yeah, well, actually, I have a bit of it in my family. My uncle, who's no longer with us, but he was the voice of Jiminy Cricket since 1973, Eddie Carroll. And he was an actor, and my father, his younger brother, also came to the States to follow in his footsteps. And so it was my father who was dating someone at the time who was working for a film company, and we just started, my little sister and I, and my dad, we would do little like training film commercials, and it was just one of those things that kind of snowballed. You know, it just sort of stuck. But I wanted to be all kinds of things. I'm telling you, I wanted to be a truck driver, parapsychologist, a lawyer, mafia princess. That was on my list, I think, when I was 10. What else? Yeah, I was all over the place, dancer, you know, so acting just kind of happened and stuck.
Maybe something completely different, but do you still have any memories of shooting E.T.?
Oh yeah, sure, yes. Well, I was 12. No idea who Steven Spielberg was at the time, you know. And also they were so secretive about this film that they gave us a fake name. And I love sharing this actually because it's a little fun trivia fact. They told us it was about a boy and an alien, and the name of the movie was A Boy's Life. So in the beginning of the movie, you'll see a boy on a bicycle riding through a little street, and there's a marquee, a movie marquee, and on the marquee it says A Boy's Life. That was the working title they gave us. I cried when I had to do the kissing scene. So Steven, when he closed the set, and he talked to me and my mom, and then Henry Thomas was in a girl haters club, and he was 10. So it was very traumatic for us to do that kissing scene. I can tell you too, the poor little boy, you know, if you recall the scene in the classroom where we're going to do the kiss, I was about a foot taller than Henry, and so Steven's mind, with all the mayhem and the kids screaming and the frogs being freed, he had Henry push a little boy down and step on top of him. So that was all just on the spot, completely like improv. Hey, you, come here. But he was such a wonderful man to work with, Steven. He was like a big kid. I don't know if you guys remember, and I think it was probably a thing of the 80s, but when scented pens came out, like kids' school, and they had grape and cherry, and I can remember Steven tasting them. you smell really good. I wonder if they taste good. He was just a big kid, really, really down to earth, and it was a wonderful experience, except for the kissing scene.
Right, so this question is coming all over from Mexico City.
Okay, let's have it.
How was it for you to be in a movie such as The Blob?
Oh my gosh. The Blob. You know, that's when my daughter asks me over and over again with her friend, her BFF, if she can watch it, and I always say no. No, no, no. It was definitely an interesting experience. We had to go in a full body cast, you know, so they could make a plaster of Paris or, you know, a mold of your head that's going to explode and like shrivel up. And it was definitely an interesting experience. I remember the director, Chuck Russell, I think, really nice guy. But honestly, I made out and then like imploded. Maybe I exploded. I think I imploded. It was a very interesting role. So yeah, mixed feelings, I guess.
Are there any projects that you missed out on that you really are upset about, that you really would have wanted to do?
You know, I've missed a lot of opportunities. Not missed, that's not taking responsibility. I said earlier that I had fear in my life big time, and I let fear be the deciding factor in a lot of things. And I had some incredible. You would throw eggs and tomatoes at me right now if I told you some of the opportunities that I said no to out of fear. But you know what? We all do it. We're ready when we're ready, and you live and learn, you know? You live and learn. Regrets really are truly counterproductive because they hold you back. Now, if you can be motivated by a mistake that you made, you know, to help you do better, then that's awesome. But yeah, I missed out on a lot of opportunities. Again, I don't even like that I chose not to go, you know, follow through with some opportunities because of that. So there's a great book. I actually read it, but I love the title. To me, the title should be like a bumper sticker, and that's Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. You know, not reckless. There's a big difference. You know, when there are, so sometimes we have that gut instinct that, and there's a reason fear is there. It's to keep us safe. But to a point, you know, to a point. Life is nothing without risks, so.
Hi.
Hi.
If you could be any historical figure, who would it be?
Oh, wow. That's an amazing question. Any historical figure? I don't know, maybe Amelia Earhart. It's hard because you know how they ended. You know what I mean? So I mean, if I could pick and choose and piece different people together, but if you think about people who were really brave and stood up for something or went out there, you know, and did something amazing, yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Hello, and thank you for coming to Belgium.
Thank you for having me.
I was wondering, I didn't know you taught acting. I was wondering, is there any specific school of acting that you find interesting, or how do you teach acting, basically?
Oh, okay. Well, for me, really, my training, I went in high school, you know, I went to a magnet school for a little while. I mostly myself trained one-on-one. So I have maybe about, I would say 4 coaches that I feel like I've learned my way from. So I sort of extracted the best of everything from those 4. And that is how I teach. You know, so I kind of took various things about the process of acting and kind of, again, created my own, you know, with my own spin on it. Yeah.
Yes, I didn't know that you were so versatile and with all the teaching and stuff. And the metaphysical thing, you said the name. Where can you learn the metaphysical stuff that you teach?
Metaphysics, and it's so hard to define. Every time I get asked that question or I say it, and I think, you need to be able to explain what, it's so difficult to explain, but it's sort of that which is there but not seen. You can't, it's nothing tangible, but it's like this. If, for instance, there's something called the Metaphysical Bible or the dictionary. So for a lot of people, you read Shakespeare or you read the Bible or something, and it's like, for me, a foreign language. It's not our time, it's not our language, it's very difficult to understand, and then that makes it really boring for me. Anyway, I just want to close the book, because, hell, I like to explain things and be taught in a way that makes sense to me. And with metaphysical, it's attached to spirit, to the universe. It just sounds like, but at the end of the day, how does it show up for you in your life? Okay, so if I were to teach a metaphysical class, I would probably take something, a subject matter, and break it down about how it applies to you in your life and how spirit's tied into it. That's the best way I can describe it. Like, for me, an easy way to explain it is the universe, in my humble opinion, is a big mirror. It's a big mirror. So what happens if you stand in front of the mirror and you smile? You get back a smile. And if you give it the middle finger, and that's life. That's life. You get what you give, right? So I think that finding again that kind of golden thread and how it applies to whatever it is that you're into and you're doing in your life and how you're supported by spirit, that's for me what I mean when I say metaphysics.
Well, we've got time for one more question.
When we watch Baywatch today, it seems pretty obvious that it belongs to a certain era of television where it seems all in its simplicity. And I don't mean anything bad by that. Do you think that we can redo that kind of show today, or is it impossible in the business today?
Do you mean simplicity in terms of like no CGI, no special effects, just really literally shot? Yes? So I'm understanding the question. Yeah, I mean, look, I think we can. Would we? I don't know. What I do feel like a bit is lost. I love some of the big, huge, of course, special effects movies, and what we can do is phenomenal with CGI. However, I also love like the 70s era of film where it was about the people, right? I mean, we had some really great storylines and we really cared about the characters, and it didn't take much. You could sit and watch two brilliant actors who were not afraid of the silence. And because they were emoting what was really truly going on with integrity. It's like it was palpable, like you could feel the emotions coming through the screen, and it was an interesting, like riveting story without the explosions. And so yes, I think we can. I think it has to do with a really brilliant director, brilliant actors. You get the right kind of group of people together, and I still really appreciate those movies. Baywatch, even though there wasn't a lot of special effects, it was super expensive to make. Super expensive to make that show. In fact, that's why it was canceled when it was on NBC. It was still rated #1 in that time slot, but it was such an expensive show to film. The man who owned the rights, I know that NBC had required him to come up with a lot of money of his own, as well as theirs, each week for the show, and he couldn't do it. In fact, I do believe he lost his studio. So that's why the show was canceled. So, could they do it today 100% again, with boats and helicopters? Would they, for a weekly television show? I don't know. Reality TV has changed things a lot. Yes, a lot in terms of how much budget there is, what they actually are making scripted films and hiring actors. I mean, it's enabled an amazing world, a whole new world, but, it's also sort of diminished a lot of filmmaking and television making as we once knew it.
we can't do this anymore.
Multitasking and stressed out and going, more, faster, more, better, faster, bigger, in order to, you know, create simplicity. You have to have an appreciation for it. Therefore, you have to slow down and you have to remember it. And then you have to find someone who wants to market it. So, you know, it might be just for a select few, I don't know. It's sad. I still like getting the water from the well sometimes. Do you know what I mean? I'm with you on that, but I don't know if that's the direction we're moving in.